Leona finally finished everything at this branch of their construction company in a small town. Lately, she increasingly disliked business trips and was angry that she was sent, although there were many employees on staff. In addition, she began to suspect that Michael, director of the branch, gave her signs of attention, and this went beyond professional communication. Leona was a little nervous since she had been married, but she didn't say anything to Michael yet, hoping that his increased attention was just a figment of her imagination. With a heavy sigh and a smile, the woman said, "Well, that's a good thing we're done early. Now we'll be able to go home in time for Christmas. It's a family holiday, and now I'm sure to spend it with my husband, not in an airplane." Michael's look made it obvious that he was very upset by her words. "Are you married?" With a hint of sadness in his voice, the man asked. "Yes, for a year," replied Leona, and she somehow felt a little awkward, but the man did not say anything, just smiled. By happy coincidence, everything was finished 2 days early, and Leona was able to exchange her ticket to arrive a day early. She was looking forward to meeting her husband, but decided not to tell him about her return before time. She wanted to surprise Wilfred. Michael arrived at the airport in person to see Leona off. He handed her a bouquet of flowers and looked into her eyes for a long time, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't dare. When boarding was announced, Leona was relieved to wish the man a Merry Christmas and say goodbye. Deep down, she knew she had made it clear that she was a married woman, but she didn't dare speak on the subject. A few hours later, Leona got off the plane. She was a little tired from the flight, and she really wanted to come home, fall on the bed, and relax. But just thinking about how happy her husband would be about her arrival made her feel warm at once. Leona took a cab and drove home. On the way, she wondered what to cook before Wilfred got home from work, but she didn't have time to cook that day. When she entered the apartment, she was immediately dumbfounded. There were women's boots in the hallway, and from the bedroom came a pleasant romantic melody of a woman's laughter. Leona tightened her lips, wondering if Wilfred could have given the keys to the apartment to his younger brother. No, how would he dare? It was their family's nest, and Leona had said many times before that she was categorically against his brother using it in their absence. So now she was standing there, wondering what to do. But then she heard a man's voice, and it was Wilfred's voice, not his brother's. The bag with belongings and the bouquet fell out of Leona's hands. She didn't even take off her jacket, and she went straight into the bedroom. Her husband was sitting in a single towel, massaging the legs of a woman who was lying on their bed and was wearing Leona's short robe. "Leona, what are you doing here?" asked Wilfred, jumping to his feet, and the damsel shrieked and pulled the sheets over herself. She looked at the enraged Leona and flapped her eyes, as if she didn't understand what was going on. "Really? That's all you can say?" asked Leona to her husband, and she shifted her gaze to his silly mistress. "I want your foot will not be here in 5 minutes. If you're late, blame yourself. You'll be out of the house naked." The girl began to dress in a hurry, muttering some swear words under her nose, and her husband approached Leona and took her by the hand and began to justify himself. "Well, wait a minute. Don't be so hot. I'll explain everything to you now. She is my masseuse. I'm so tired at work, so I called a masseuse to fix my muscles a little tight. Do you really think I'm stupid enough to be fed a fairy tale like that?" broke off Leona. She shook off her husband's hand and walked away to the window. Then she finally took off her jacket and threw it on the chair of the corner of the room and looked at her husband again. His exhausted expression showed that he was trying to find an excuse, but nothing sensible came to mind. Leona saw no point in shouting or sorting things out. She suddenly realized she was tired. Every time she and her husband had a problem, she tried to talk to him and come to some kind of solution, but she simply could not forgive cheating, even if she really wanted to. But the desire to reconcile suddenly faded, as if this betrayal had burned in a second the love that they had previously lived in her heart. Wilfred's mistress left the apartment, slamming the door loudly, and Leona thought frantically. "What are you waiting for?" she asked, giving him an icy look. Me? He interjected, as if he didn't understand the question. You. Pack your things and go away. I don't want betrayers in my house. This is my apartment in case you've forgotten. Wilfred walked over to his wife and tried to touch her, but she wouldn't let him. Well, what's the matter, Leona? Can some masseuse really kill our love? Leona felt that a little longer she was going to snap and start throwing her husband things off the balcony, like people do in soap operas. She did not want to stoop to this, because pushing him out in a towel and throwing things, she would shame herself. So Leona held on with the last of her strength. Look, but this isn't serious. A lot of men cheat and live normally with their wives. Frankly speaking, I don't know how it happened. It won't happen again. This is the first and the last time. At this point, Leona started laughing hysterically. This ridiculous excuse made her laugh so hard that she just couldn't control herself. Go away, shouted Leona, laughing to her heart's content. That scream of hers must have finally had an effect on Wilfred. While he was changing, he noticed the bouquet with which Leona had arrived. I guess you are not without sin either, since you came back with flowers from a business trip. And now you're trying to blame everything on me? Unlike you, I'm not trying to blame anyone. It's none of your business who gave me the flowers anymore. Wilfred walked out, slamming the door hard. Closing all the locks on the inside, Leona began to pull the bedclothes off the bed in exhaustion, wrapping up in the wine glasses, pillows, and blanket in it. She wanted to throw it all away. Looking around her apartment, the woman even dreamed of tearing off the wallpaper of the parquet on which the girl walked. Sobbing, Leona did not immediately hear the phone ring. She only paid attention when it was repeated once more. It was Michael. Leona, you forgot papers. I wanted to ask you, would it be convenient if I send them to your house? It's my fault for rushing to get the flowers. I didn't give you the documents. Leona wanted to answer, but all that came out with her lips was a sob. Is everything all right? Asked the man in a concerned voice. No, it's not all right, sniffled Leona. I caught my husband with his mistress, but I can handle it. You can send me the documents. I'll send the address and a message. Is there anything I can do to help? You don't have to. Thank you. Merry Christmas. And Leona hung up the phone and sent the address and continued to clean up. After taking all the stuff out of the trash, the woman went to the supermarket and bought a new blanket and pillow. She didn't even want to lie down on the bed, so she decided to sleep in the hall for now, hoping that at least there was no strangers on the couch. The next day, Leona woke up late. She tried to clean herself up a little. She had been crying most of the previous day and night, and her eyes were terribly red, but the drops helped a little to relieve the redness. Christmas was coming up, and Leona had no plans to celebrate it. She hadn't even taken the Christmas tree out of the box or decorated it. There wasn't the slightest bit of holiday mood. When the doorbell rang, Leona opened it without looking through the peephole because she was expecting a courier with documents. When she saw who was in front of her, she was dumbfounded. On the threshold of her apartment stood Michael with a bouquet of flowers and a package. Here's a rescue kit. Champagne, cheese, and a box of chocolates. I'm not asking for anything or insisting on anything, but I care about you, so I just want to support you at a time like this. Leona looked at the man for a few seconds and then smiled and accepted the bouquet from him. Come in, please, but I have a complete shambles here. I started repairs. A couple months later, Leona got a divorce, and with Michael, albeit not immediately, but they had a strong, loving family